Look! Up in the sky!
Jeremy, what are you talking about?
It's the STS-51 Discovery!
What are you... Huh?
John, it launched on September 12th, 1993. In the sky. People could see it.
That's nice, but this isn't a history podcast. We are here to talk about what happened also on that date, and that's the premiere of Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman.
Speaking of Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, we actually got an email from our one listener, Taylor.
Shout out to Taylor.
Shout out Taylor, thank you, who wanted us to actually possibly review the finale of Lois and Clark other than the pilot. And Taylor, you get your wish in episode 74, so stay tuned. We will solve the mystery of the mysterious baby.
Yeah, mark your calendar for episode 74.
Exactly. And if you too would like to have your thoughts or questions read aloud, you can always email us at supesonpodcast@gmail.com. But for now, let's turn it over to John and Jeremy, the Solidudes themselves, as they look at the pilot episode of Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman.
So as you just heard from the wonderful intro, I'm John McBride, of course, here in the Fortress of Solidude with Jeremy Bruner.
Hey.
And today we are reviewing/watching Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, the very first episode, the pilot.
So if you haven't seen this, or if you haven't seen it in a while, and you're going to go back and watch it, you can wait just a moment. We're going to give you some tips to make it a little bit more enjoyable while you watch.
That's right. And to make this a little bit more bearable, depending on your enjoyment level of mid-90s superhero adaptations, the drinking game for Lois and Clark is, well, my drinking game. First of all, have you been drinking anything?
I had a ultimate banana shake.
An ultimate banana shake. It's going to be your choice. We can't control what you drink here. We can only suggest. I have been drinking margaritas all day, so I'm ready to go.
Yes. No, I was a little bit more tame today.
A little bit more tame. Well, this is an untamed show. Now, for my drinking game, what I suggest when you watch this episode is anytime there is magical music played while Superman displays his flying ability, like his Peter Pan-esque music, it's the most wonderful thing that's ever happened when he floats. That happens a few times. So just take a shot, take a drink when that happens.
So mine is every time Clark is overly polite. Not, you know what? Yeah, overly polite. So anytime Clark is letting somebody go in ahead of him, even though there's no real reason, and actually calling out the fact that he's doing so, or anything he's doing that just seems overly polite for a citizen of Metropolis, that his Smallville-ness is really coming out.
So whenever Clark is a nice boy, just take a shot.
Take a shot.
Very, very nice. Very nice. So that's going to happen a lot through this episode, so you're going to be sloshed.
That's right.
If you're doing this. Now, first thing I wrote down for when we're watching Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, the pilot, which came on in like 93. It's at ABC back in the day.
Yes, it was ABC.
And at first I just want to say this was such an adorably mid-90s, early to mid-90s show.
Very nostalgic for that time period.
Very nostalgic. There is something so nice about it. Like, it's so pure and just cornball. But I will say this. One of the first things I wrote down in my notes is the long, slow intro that you would never see today.
No, but I really liked it. It opens with just the Superman logo, Superman music playing. And the first thing I wrote down is that the first character with the speaking line in this is Jimmy Olsen.
That's right, Jimmy, dark-haired Jimmy.
Dark-haired Jimmy is the first person to speak, who speaks to Lois Lane, who then doesn't talk and acts as if she's a mute for the first, minute she's on screen.
Lois Lane, like Terry Hatcher's like a silent film actress here.
She is dressed up as a man who just got through fooling some people, and she gets to write all about it and win a big award.
That's right.
But no raise.
No raise, because Perry White is cheap. He's a cheap-ass guy.
That glass ceiling.
The glass ceiling. This is what the show is about. women's pay, women's wages in the workplace. I wrote down in big letters, mullet.
Which is appropriate. Supes had a mullet probably because of the show.
Was it because of this?
Or was the mullet in the show because of the comics? Which came first?
Man, our Superman expertise is going to be called into question here.
I know. I think it was first in the show.
I'm gonna say that the super mullet didn't come into play until after, because Superman, this came back when Clark, after he had died.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I'm saying. I think because it came out after he died, and so therefore I think it was in the show first.
Wow, so Dean Cain, he influenced the comics history by having a GD mullet.
That's what I think. I guess it is possible that Dean Cain was the victim of a mullet due to DC Comics as well.
That would have been so hilarious. So they pulled Dean Cain in, like, hey, you got the part, but there's one thing. You need you to grow your hair out.
That's the reason Dean Cain was selected. The first 4 people didn't want to grow a mullet.
They say, like, no, that's just dumb.
Nothing's worth that.
Nothing is worth having the mullet. There were so many great things. I remember when I was a kid watching this, even when I was a kid, I guess not understanding the history of Lex Luthor not being bald pissed me off. Even though, Lex had hair historically. I know this now.
Like, Lex Luthor not having hair did not bother me as a kid at all because I was not as familiar with Superman when this was coming out. I knew Lex Luthor was supposed to be bald. I probably had a rough idea. Yeah. But I wasn't into comics or into Superman and Lex Luthor enough to actually have an opinion.
You were too busy fucking bitches.
You know me. I was sitting there, the king of the 3rd grade playground.
Not really knowing what fucking bitches was, but you were claiming you were doing it.
That's right. Writing curse words in chalk because older kids told us to, and then getting detention. That was what I was doing.
I like to think you were just writing PP.
Now I know we wrote. There's some 5th grader because this was '93 and I was in 3rd grade. We had a 5th grader, dares to write fuck on the wall in charcoal, or not charcoal, in chalk, and we got detention for it.
And that 5th grader was me.
No! Now it's all coming back. Oh my god, the abuse, John. The abuse.
Psychological abuse. Full circle.
So I did like how it started us off with like all the introductions to the sort of side characters. Like we really get to see Jimmy, Lois, Perry White, Cat Grant, all of these people before we see Clark.
Cats. So, what I love in this episode is Cat Grant's full-on prostitute outfit she's wearing.
It is so like when she walked by Terry Hatcher couldn't help but check out her boobs. Yeah. As she walked by, I was like, I wrote that down. I was like, Terry checked out Cat's boobs there.
Yeah, and like Cat Grant is like, she's trying to be like this over-the-top, I guess, seductress.
Well, and the thing is when the first scene we see her in, Lois seems actually really jealous of her. Like what she's saying isn't indicating that, but it seems like Lois is jealous, and it seems like Jimmy just wants to hit it.
Jimmy knows what's up. Jimmy's my man in this. Jimmy's all about, the thing about this is Cat Grant's supposed to be the woman in the office everybody wants to fuck, right?
Right.
Meanwhile, Terry Hatcher's a dime piece.
Yeah.
And like, Jimmy, get up on Terry. It's like Terry Hatcher. Like, maybe you're seeing Lois in that mustache. It's like, I can't get over that.
I think Jimmy went home that night.
Jimmy,
he was thinking about that mustache.
Jimmy took a lot of pictures.
Yeah,
that's why Jimmy got into the photography game.
So then Clark comes fresh off the bus from Kansas. Only obviously not fresh off the bus. They sort of give you that impression, but in reality, he already has an apartment. So he's already gone and or maybe it's a hotel room. It doesn't specifically say, but I know for the rest of the series that's where he's at. So I would have to assume it's an apartment.
I'm pretty sure it's an apartment. The fish out of water. Small hayseed boy goes to the city.
Yeah, but he went and got an apartment before getting a job. And
they did say Pa Kent was wiring him money.
Right. I'm just saying. So this is the Superman for the millennial generation. He's relying on his parents to pay him rent.
That is true.
Until he's in his, I guess, mid to late 20s. We know Lois confirmed she's supposed to be 26 in this.
And it's easy to assume that Clark's the same age.
Yeah, same age within a year or two.
Yeah, but you're right. We did get a lot of good a lot of setup with other characters before Clark shows up.
Yeah,
we get to know Lucy Lane a little more.
Yeah,
we get to know Jimmy. We get to see Perry White. Everybody's kind of, I'm like, this is cool, you know? It's
right.
For the rest of, and because Superman's going to get all the attention, let's get these guys in now.
Right.
And we do get a lot of Lois being lonely. Lonely Lois. Doesn't want to admit
watching soap operas and sobbing at home.
Lois wouldn't be lonely if she were Blois.
Oh, man.
That
is true.
She was watching the show Ivory Tower, and I just want to say our next podcast will be us reviewing Ivory Tower.
Every episode.
Tearing up, eating popcorn in an awkwardly positioned bed. I don't know.
Yes, just like Lois. I do like how when Clark did show up, though, and he was going in for his job, that he went in for a job interview and stuff. And I did like how it was very similar to the radio show.
It was.
Where he just walks in off the street, hey, I want a job.
Yeah.
At least, unlike in the radio show, this time he did have writing samples.
He had writing. No, well, Perry mentioned something about like some professor of Clark's.
Yeah, that called in.
So there was something.
Yeah, there was a little bit there, and then it was also very much like the radio show. It's he's able to get him a story, and that's what gets him hired. Unlike the radio show, he didn't happen to overhear the whole story.
He didn't, which is to me, I thought was questionable about his morals and. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one who thinks that Clark kind of cheated his way into getting a job.
In the radio show?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. In the radio show a little bit. But to be fair, in the radio show, he didn't know anything about anything. So here he was raised by parents as opposed to just arriving on the planet fully grown.
Right. And the parents makes me think of this similar to how Smallville made Ma and Pa can't fuckable. I think... this show, Lois and Clark, was the first time we really got Lois and Clark being really just like, I want to bang Lois and Clark. It wasn't just like, oh, it's the fun comic book story. It's like
nice and romantic. And
this is like Superman and Lois and Clark are hot.
Yes. This was Lois and Clark. They're about to go at it. As soon as this camera turned off, they went for it.
Yeah. I mean, they went out of their way to cast, because Terry Hatcher was like, I remember having a huge crush on her when I was a kid because of this.
Yeah.
Everybody thought she was like the new hotness.
Right.
I mean, Dean Cain, that mullet, I don't know if that turned anybody off. I can understand why.
At the time, that was a popular thing somewhat.
And here, when Lois sees Superman for the first time, I'm like, I understand the bit about the glasses, but there's no fucking way.
So I wrote that down too, especially because normally the first time Lois sees Superman in a lot of lore is after he saves her plane from falling out of the sky.
Right.
So there's been this person that's done this superhuman feat, and even then it's like, wow, well, no, Clark can't do that. She's not even thinking it could possibly be Clark.
Yeah.
Here, though, in Lois and Clark, the first time she sees Superman hasn't done any sort of big heroic feat.
It looks
For her, it's just some guy in tights running into a small room.
Yeah, it really should be, Clark, why are you wearing that ridiculous outfit?
Exactly. That was my thought, too, on that.
And the most super thing he does that Lois first sees, he swallows a bomb?
Yeah.
He just puts the bomb in his mouth, then it blows up?
Yep. And I will say this also right after that. So the whole big climax here is they're on a spaceship that's getting ready to go up. It was sabotaged by Lex Luthor. Surprise, surprise.
Spoiler.
And so anyway, it goes off. The bomb goes off, and they can't continue to go up into space because the thrusters have already been fired. And Clark's like, "No, I'll give y'all a boost." This is a spaceship full of scientists who did not know there was actually a bomb on board. Don't know who this person is. He's never been seen. And they're just like, yeah, cool, you can do that. I guess we'll just go buckle in and you can lift us up to space.
Yeah, we're just going to put all of our trust into this stranger who shows up eating bombs.
Right after Mission Control ordered them to leave. Like, where was the skepticism, scientist?
Just nowhere to be seen. But like, we are on a deadline. We got, it's like we just need to get into space. I don't know how we're going to get back. Maybe they just decided that. I don't know, on the Prometheus, they were just going to, live there.
Well,
right?
yeah, they were going to go live there, yeah.
No, I guess it was a one-way trip anyway.
Well, no, because it's like our current space station and stuff. When they go up there, it goes up there, it docks. The thrusters just literally get you to leave the galaxy.
Leave
to leave the Earth. Yeah, we have.
We have current space stations.
Yeah, so we had Mir that launched in the late 80s and lasted until about 2000, 2001. And then since then, we've had the International Space System.
This is not a history podcast.
Yeah. Sorry. And
well, I want to say it's like towards the beginning, actually, one of the first things we see Clark do is they're tearing down the old theater, right?
Yes.
And Clark knows nothing about really what's happening, right? He just sees a bunch of elderly protesters, and I guess it would be old people protesting this. It's
Occupy Wall Street for seniors.
Yeah, it's like a historical thing for them. And so Clark just decides, like, I don't really know what's going on, but I'm going to fuck this up.
No, I disagree, because he used his X-ray vision and saw there was a woman inside.
Yeah, but he could have just went in there and just grabbed her, but he, like, destroyed this, like, fucking construction vehicle thing.
I guess to me it's like he sees that they're doing this. It means a lot to them. There's somebody on stage doing it. To me, this was very much like in Action Comics, the first Action Comics Superman, where he's doing like almost community type work, like on that, like.
Well, yeah,
it's showing that he doesn't just punch through walls and do stuff. Sometimes he prevents walls from being punched through by a wrecking ball. It was showing that he can connect to the community.
That is very true, and I will say, I think the casting for this show was really spot on.
I agree.
I really do think so. I think everybody was good for what they were doing.
Yeah.
Now, I was thinking about this. Who is like when we watch these things, especially the live action? I'm thinking who is the best live action blank?
Yeah. Like
I would say, I don't think anyone would say Dean Cain's like the best Clark, but he's not terrible either.
No.
I don't think this is the worst Perry White, even though this is the most Perry White we've gotten.
Yeah.
I think by default he's maybe the best because we got more of him.
I agree.
But I will say, as much as I love the fuckable Mon Pa Kent on Smallville, I gotta think I'm really thinking the Mon Pa Kent we get here in Lois Clark is the best. I'm going to say they're the best because they seem like the nice old couple that would raise such a nice, sweet boy.
That is very true. That is true.
And they might be fuckable to someone.
I like the Smallville Mom and Pa better as
like overall characters. Yeah.
But as representations of the types of people that raised Superman.
I mean, they're one-dimensional as fuck. But
yeah, but they do what they do. They're good.
Yeah, I was watching that. I'm like, yeah, I would totally buy that.
So going back just a bit, when you mentioned Perry, I do think it's probably the most, since this is the most Perry we see, he almost wins by default.
Yeah.
However, I did love at the very beginning when Clark was asking for a job and Perry told him no, that Clark kind of passively, aggressively, like really strongly gripped his hand.
Yeah.
Apparently almost to the point of breaking it, so much so that the next time they went to shake hands, Perry's like, oh, nope,
Perry is in fear of this guy.
Yeah.
That's why he got the job. It's like, just don't hurt me.
Perry was scared of this because Perry was like, man, this guy is strong and he has an emotional side.
What?
I do say, so the woman in the theater that he wrote the emotional piece on, I am almost positive in rewatching this scene with her that she thought Clark was with the demolition company. Because all she ever really said to Clark was like, oh, just give me a few more minutes and stuff like that. It's like...
Yeah, and Clark didn't really correct her.
Clark never corrected her. I'm pretty sure, to her, it was like Clark Kent, demolition crew manager, was who was going in there to clear the stage.
So, as far as Lex Luthor's go... Michael Shea, whatever the fuck the guy's name is, who played Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Not bad.
No.
Not the best either.
No.
He's okay.
He's pretty, right down the center, I guess.
Yeah, he's very, neutral. Although I loved it when they had the fucking weird-ass scene with the snake.
That is so random, yes.
So he has, his... Hindu pal or whoever, his snake handler,
henchman,
friend,
administrative assistant.
Yes, who I guess they do this every week. They have a snake meeting where Lex Luthor through sheer willpower stares down a king cobra snake.
Yes, stops it in its tracks.
and like you have like the thunderstorm and Snake, like Lex Luthor's evil.
Yes.
We need to know this man is evil. And what's the best way to do that? Thundering skies.
Yes, thundering. It was very atmospheric.
Very atmospheric. And like the Snake, even the goddamn Snake is terrified of Lex Luthor.
Yes. I did also like how they made it seem like where Lois and Clark were, they weren't supposed to be. But when they when they're at that party and they're going off to explore, however, when they are at that party going off to explore, like the doors to that room were open and it opened up into the party. Like if I was just a normal party goer there, I would have thought, oh, this room is fine to go into.
Yeah.
There's literally doors open leading into it. Like it didn't seem off limits until Lois closed the doors.
Yeah, they were kind of sneaking around like, oh man, we're good. Like I'm being a reporter. You should try it sometime,
Yeah.
Clark. I'm like, what the fuck? We're just going around places anyone can go.
I did like the callback when when Lex showed them the view, and he's like, I like how everybody has to look up at me in the city. For then at the end with Superman, when he's flying off, to be like, hey, you can just look up, Lex, and you'll see me.
Just look up, and Lex was like, fuck.
Man, damn, that's my thing.
That's my thing.
I only have ever told Clark Kent and Lois Lane that.
I do think Terry Hatcher was up to that. I don't know, what would you say? Because Margot Kidder was an awesome Lois.
Yeah.
Would you say up until this point, because I'm still saying Erica Durance is overall the best.
Yeah.
For Smallville, but up until this point, do you think Terry Hatcher was the best Lois? It comes down to her and Margot.
So this is because of my age, probably when I grew up with. Yes, I think Terry Hatcher was. But I don't know that I even saw the Christopher Reeve Superman until I was probably like 13 or 14. So I was like, to me, Terry Hatcher was Lois Lane.
Yeah.
Dean Cain was Superman. So I don't know. I'd really have to go. I'd really need to watch it with that in mind.
Right. I would say that I think overall Terry Hatcher is the best. Up until that point, I'm going to give it to Terry Hatcher. Because I think she just kind of captured all of what Lois was supposed to be.
Yeah, and honestly, really, as Lois, as the investigative reporter, as the reporter aspect, I think Terry Hatcher blows everybody out of the water, even Erica Durance.
Even Erica Durance?
I know, as the actual reporter aspect of it, because throughout the series, Terry Hatcher is an investigative reporter. She's constantly concerned about going after the stories, and it's not the stories about the weird and mysterious villain that Clark's gonna have to fight, like it is in Smallville. In this, she wants to go after who's corrupting City Hall. She wants to go after, who's funding all these criminals. She's going after actual news journalism type stories.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, I don't know. Well, the thing is, Margot Kidder's so iconic, though. But I gotta give. To me, it comes down to who's hotter, and Terry Hatcher wins.
Well, see, to me, like I said, honestly, to me, I think Terry Hatcher wins for me too. Between those two, I just don't know if I'm looking at it honestly enough between Margot Kidder and her. But I give Terry Hatcher over Erica Durance. I think Erica Durance's Lois is a better character. However, I think representing Lois as of Lois from the source material, Terry Hatcher does a better job.
Right. And what I loved about this is they used the House of L sign. This just randomly looks like an S.
Yes.
Part of me likes that. Part of me doesn't like that. Part of me loves the fact that they just came up with an S design because it looks like a goddamn S.
Yeah.
And they said, I'm going to be called Superman. But I love that they just kind of had it. And I don't know if when they were making the costume, which was a really fun sequence, by the way. I think it was a really fun sequence, and Ma Kent really did seem like a mom there.
For sure.
Even though she had this whole scene about, this line about, well, everybody's going to be checking out your dick, not your face.
That is true.
Check out your huge package there, son.
Maybe she was talking about his abs. Maybe your mind went to dick.
We know. If that scene went on a little longer, it would have been Ma Kent saying, we're not related by blood.
Oh, God.
In my Lois and Clark fan fiction. That's
available on fanfiction.net.
Fanfiction.net. Soon. Be on the lookout.
Yes.
For sure. But I love that sequence because it was Clark just deciding to wear a costume.
Well, no, it wasn't. I actually have it written down. It was Lois gave him the idea. So
well, it was
Lois. A few scenes, really 20 minutes earlier in the show, is just like, that's why you should always bring an extra outfit to work.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, this is what's giving him the idea to wear a costume.
To wear the costume, like by today's standards, looks so cheap.
Oh yeah.
I love how like cheap this costume looks, and it's not made out of like Kryptonian material.
Not at all. But yet throughout the show, it doesn't mess up when stuff
which
happens.
leads me to believe they're going with Superman has like an invulnerable
aura.
force, like an aura.
Yeah.
Which I loved when I first read about that. Like, it makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
Than he just has Kryptonian, fucking
armor and stuff.
Like armor. It's like Kryptonian cotton just happens to be super like bulletproof and shit.
Yes. So I'm going to move on a little bit to our facts and stats.
Facts and stats.
I noticed one interesting. This has to do with numbers. This is probably a very loose fact and stat, but I did notice they specifically show when Lois goes into her apartment, she has 3 deadbolts, and they specifically show when Clark is in Kansas walking in, doors unlocked. And I liked that kind of, them sort of showing that. It was sort of showing, hey, Metropolis isn't the safest place. Like,
very subtle.
Even though Lois has a nice apartment, all that, she still needs 3 deadlocks. So it's showing that Metropolis is in need of a Superman.
Yeah, I did notice that, but that was nice. That was a nice touch. It was just like you said earlier, like the fact that Clark is being polite is so weird.
Yeah.
To the people of Metropolis.
Yeah.
Like they are not used to that.
No, I feel like we are in Texas. Sorry to ruin the illusion for those of you who thought we might have been elsewhere.
Or are we?
Yes, and I have noticed that.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Trying to create some mystery here. Like no.
I have noticed that sometimes when I lived in California for a few years, different things that there are certain things that I feel like a lot of people do, just sort of like in the South more in general, that you don't see as much in other places. So like I sort of can see the Clark politeness thing and it's almost like hey, here's a nice, Kansas boy who's in New York City almost.
You know what? I want to take a trip to Kansas and find out that they're the rudest assholes walking the planet.
They might be.
like I don't know, like maybe Smallville's this anomaly.
Yeah.
And Kansas is just full of pricks. Who knows?
To be fair, they're the only other show I know of where people are from Kansas is Supernatural, and Dean and Sam aren't the nicest, most polite people.
Yeah, but Sam and Dean have had rough lives. They've had a rough go of it.
That's true. If they had been just raised there, they would have been fine.
This is a fact and stat I read about Supernatural. It's completely unrelated to this
All right,
episode.
let's hear it. This is now a Supernatural podcast for the next minute or two.
It's still Supes on.
Yes.
In the very first episode, when Sam's girlfriend Jess she's on the roof.
Burning
in flames. Apparently, that was originally supposed to be their dad.
Really?
Yeah.
That would have been interesting.
If the internet source I read this from is true.
If it was on the internet, it
has to be true. And I'm thinking, I'm glad they didn't go with that because we would have been robbed of a lot of John Winchester there.
That is true. All right, and now back to Superman.
The Superman stat I read, I've researched.
I'm going to interrupt you.
Oh.
So I've got another stat that's not related that I'm going to go into.
Okay.
So last night I might have gotten a little bit drunk, and we went to a biker bar, and here's a number stat for you. The guy that invited us out to the biker bar from where we were at, we got to the biker bar, and then we found out, hey, he's getting ready to go to jail for 2 years. So there's your number for this stat.
Yeah. And this audio recording can be used in a court of law.
In a court of law, for sure. And but the slight Superman-related thing there was he had a Superman tattoo.
Oh, well. So many people have Superman tattoos. I just want to go to them and be like, what's the last Superman comic you read? You're a fucking...
Just go and be super aggressive.
Like, you're a diehard Superman fan, like...
What did you read? Have you even read any of the New 52?
Have you read any of the New 52? Did you know what Rebirth is about?
Yeah, come on, people.
Fucking hell. Who is Bibbo? Tell me who Bibbo is.
I want to know if they know who Streaky is.
Yeah, tell me who Streaky is, and you've earned that tattoo. Shaq, I'm talking to you, Shaquille O'Neal. The Superman fact and stat I researched, much like Lois Lane, and being an investigative reporter, I researched this. Dean Cain was the first guy to be auditioned for the role of Superman. And he originally was thought to be too young, like a Superboy type of guy. I didn't really see that. I thought he fit. I thought he was fine.
Yeah.
Another thing I read, that Kevin Sorbo tried out to be Superman.
Interesting.
Hercules himself.
I wonder if there's a alternate universe where Kevin Sorbo was Superman and Dean Cain was Hercules.
A better universe.
They call that Earth 1.
They call it Earth 1. It's a known fact here in Supes that we are on Earth 2.
Yeah, we wish we were on Earth 2.
No, yeah, we're on. I don't know. What Earth do you think we're on?
I feel like we're a computer simulation being run on Earth 18. We're not even an actual Earth.
You know what the easy answer to that is? Every natural born citizen of that Earth, if you ask them what Earth they're on, they're going to say, well, we're on Earth 1.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Why would we consider any other Earth not like we're always going to consider our Earth 1?
I always love it in the comics and stuff when they do go to another Earth and they're like, this is Earth 2, and everyone's just like, yeah, we're fine with that. We'll be Earth 2.
Just be number 2. We don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Like, hey, what the fuck? Why can't we be Earth 1?
Yeah.
Or just let some other Earth, like, be Earth 1, and we'll just be Earth 5 and 7, respectively.
You know, we might find some other Earths out there. We'll just be Earth 98 if you catch up to us. I know there's normally only 52 and a lot of stuff. But yeah. We're going to be 98 just in case.
Just in case. And it's funny, like, do they call their, like, Mars 2? Every
planet is 2. That's right.
Like Venus 2.
So Martian Manhunter's from Mars. I'm from Mars 2.
Mars 2. Is Oa a planet?
Yeah, it's a planet in the center of the galaxy, Mr. Green Lantern fan.
This would be Oa 2.
The center of the galaxy. Listen to me. Center of the universe.
Yeah, I guess it is a planet.
Yeah.
Oa 2.
Yeah.
Oa. So let's go into powers used and the efficiency.
Yes.
The efficient use of those powers. So I have, let's see, we have. Okay, so we got flight and floating and magical music to go along with it. We have
strength,
the super strength, super hearing, maybe.
Because
when he uses
he did.
When he uses the X-ray vision, he can hear the lady.
So X-ray vision, heat vision, hearing, speed,
and super speed, which leads to what we learned in this episode: typing at your computer really fast will destroy your computer.
That's not what to take away from that scene. What to take away from that scene is that Clark in this show has the most advanced computer on the face of the planet, because while he was typing at super speed until it messed up, the computer was keeping up with it. That means the processor on that computer was running faster than what we have now.
Which, man, we needed to have that. I don't know where Clark got that computer. It was a computer maybe they salvaged from the rocket.
Maybe so. That's got to be the explanation.
And he still, sometimes it doesn't catch up to him.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's typing on his computer and just smoke comes.
The computer doesn't get enough sun to keep up with the.
Yeah, it's a solar powered computer.
Yeah.
That's not too hard to think about.
No.
I guess that would mean he has super. What would you call this? Super thinking, speed thinking?
Yeah.
Because, like, the Flash can do that. The Flash is, like, he brags about that shit.
Yeah, he says, like, I can figure things out in less than an attosecond.
Like, we don't even know what the fuck that is, Flash.
It's like 0.00000, I don't know, 1.
Like, Superman just doesn't really bother to brag about this.
No. He's very humble.
He's a very humble guy. I think overall he used his powers. I mean, there was some things like the heat vision destroying the construction thing. The handprint on the bus in the beginning, I mean, he was in a pinch.
Very reminiscent of the Smallville scene from years later.
Yeah. I think, he was fine.
Yeah, it was good.
I think overall he used his powers. He had that explosion in his mouth.
Yeah.
He had an explosion in his mouth.
So I would argue the only sort of inefficient thing that could be here is the fact that he apparently really hadn't thought about using his powers to save people. And it just...
Yeah, I think that's, if you want to go with whether or not he was responsible with his powers, I mean, I guess efficiency, responsibility is basically the same thing, but yeah, I guess he's just like, I just want to be a normal boy.
But to be fair though, and use these powers I have for good. So it's like he's wanted to use the powers for good, and it's like the only thing that's ever been stopping him is nobody's ever made a suggestion to him about a change of clothes.
Well, Mom and Pa can't. They said, keep it on the DL.
Yeah.
So maybe, he was like,
that's true.
I don't want to go around.
And I do feel like while he was in Burma and all the other places they mentioned, like he probably, if he saw people in danger, I'm sure he helped them. Just like every single person he saw in danger in the 2 days he was there in Metropolis, he saved.
They could assume.
Man, the people in Metropolis must have dropped like flies. Like in the 2 days he was there, a woman would have gotten killed by a wrecking ball. Several nuns and other people would have been run over by a bus. A sewer worker would have drowned or burned or something.
Well, that leads to the question: maybe they were fine before that, but the presence of Superman created all of these little death traps for people.
Maybe, and that's not even counting how many people died of crime. I mean, who knows how many muggings went on during this episode.
Speaking of muggings, I read this randomly online where it doesn't really pertain to this particular episode, but throughout the series, apparently Batman is mentioned like 4 times. I doubt it's by name.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's like Bruce Wayne in Gotham City or some shit.
I don't know, maybe. I don't remember that. The thing that I remember the most from the show was there's an episode where he vibrates his molecules to get out of a cell. And I always thought the Flash copied Superman because of that episode of Lois and Clark.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I was way wrong.
I guess I don't remember Superman doing that a whole lot in the comic.
No, I don't either.
It's like Superman, I thought that was like Superman, something he couldn't do.
Dean Cain can.
Dean Cain?
But you know what else Dean Cain can do?
What's that?
Do you remember the Rock and Jock basketball games
of course,
TV used to do?
Of course.
So Superman himself, Dean Cain, scored like 152-point basket by shooting something that went through like the 100-point basket, then fell through the 50 and then through the 2.
My man.
Dean Cain.
Dean Cain.
That's 152 points. That's better than the snitch.
The mullet, all is forgiven.
Yes.
You won it for us. And that's showing our age there, that we remember the goddamn Rock and
Jock and TV basketball.
Probably some millennials.
I'm a millennial.
Well, yeah.
So are you.
Sort of. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, just by all definitions.
Just by
100% of definitions.
Doesn't feel like a millennial to me. It's like someone who was like born in 2000.
That's like really. I mean, some that were born in 2000 probably be millennials, but that's about the tail end of the millennial generation.
Like when I hear like millennial, I think millennium.
No, because millennial, a lot of them are. It's like people who were alive during the transition.
That's a lot of people.
No, I mean that were born after Gen X, pre 2000.
Really?
Yeah, it's basically for the most part, it's most millennials now are like the youngest millennials now are like I think between like 15 to 18.
I guess that makes sense. Because, well, I'm thinking like whenever I hear millennial, I think like people who are born in like 98.
Yeah.
Or something, turn of the century type shit.
Yeah.
People who have it too good.
Yeah. Who never had to go to a library and check out a book. They just read them on their Kindles.
Fucking Kindles. And you can listen to this podcast on a Kindle.
Yes. In fact, we encourage you to do so.
I'm sure there are several ways.
I don't know. I assume you can listen to a podcast on a Kindle. I guess it depends on how high tech of a Kindle you have.
My Kindle you can listen to. Well, I don't know if you can just go to iTunes or some shit.
All right, Mr. Fanceman. Speaking of, rate us 5 stars on iTunes.
Yeah.
If you have any comments or anything you'd like for us to read about or talk about on the show, email us at supesonpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us at supesonpodcast on Twitter. Check out our Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything else you'd like to say?
Well, I would have to say whether or not I thought Supes was on or off.
Oh, the point of the podcast.
The whole GD point.
Good call.
I'm going to say that Supes is very on. And the reason I say this is that, well, when we say Supes on, what we mean by that is, did this properly represent the character? Was he made to be not boring? Was this just a good Superman story? And I think this represented Superman, the traditional mythology, the mythos, if you will. I thought this really did it. I mean, it was like cornball. It was like mid-90s, whatever. And there was a mullet involved. But I think that this really got Superman. He was very, very humble. All he really wanted to do was just save people.
Yeah.
He was a nice guy. And, it was very reminiscent of the original, like, radio show.
Mm-hmm.
And, he saved Lois at the end from a rocket, told Lex Luthor to go fuck himself, and I think it was, it was a very classic, good Superman story, I thought.
Yeah, no argument from me. I mean, this was Supes on as it gets, really. I mean, farm boy from Kansas, doing good.
I mean, I haven't seen a whole lot that's been actually just off, but there's some stuff that's been, like, borderline, but I thought Lois Clark just nailed it.
Yes, completely agree. Sorry that there's no big argument here, but you know what? We got to give these people something to listen to, John. This was Supes on, not at all, I say.
Oh, really?
And here are the reasons why. Because Superman wasn't even in it until the end. It was just some Clark Kent guy.
Well, yeah, I guess it's not called Clark's on.
No, but definitely Supes was on because he was Clark at his Clarkiest.
I will say this, as far as Superman was really good in this, of course. I think Clark could have been a little bit more bumbling.
Yeah, he was a little bit too charming.
Because I think, like, Clark was...
Kat wanted to fuck him as soon as she saw him.
Yeah.
I guess she wants to do that.
She wants to do that. She wants to do that with fucking, like, Jimmy.
Yeah.
But we just assume.
Well, no, because Jimmy really seemed to have the hots for her, and he's apparently not having
Well, that's a power thing with Kat.
That's true.
She just likes that's available.
Yeah.
But I thought Clark was, like,
too
outgoing.
Dr. Baines, we didn't even talk about, Lex's sort of a sex secretary in this one.
Well, it's another thing is, like, Clark is just wearing glasses.
Yeah.
And this is before he has any concept or notion of having a secret identity.
That's true.
He just decides, like, I guess I want a reporter would wear glasses.
I've never thought about that. That is true.
Yeah. Because, like, we see him, like, drinking coffee. Like, I guess he's trying to fit in. Maybe,
yeah.
Maybe. Because I'm sure Clark would need caffeine, but the amount of coffee Superman would have to drink to get a nice buzz.
I don't know if anybody needs caffeine, John. I think you're just addicted.
I am. And this is what this podcast has been about. It's been leading to this point.
And here are your parents, your fiance, everybody's coming in. This is an intervention.
Oh, no. I think they're trying to tell me I don't drink enough coffee. I don't know. But yeah, so it's like he's fitting in, and Clark's very worried about fitting in this episode. So maybe the glasses has something to do with that.
Maybe he thinks that it'll make him appear more intelligent.
It makes him look like a goddamn nerd is what it looks like.
And we have no respect for nerds.
We have no respect for nerds or nerd culture.
Or geeks or anything.
Or anyone who would focus on Superman and his various representations in all forms of media.
Yes.
So if you can figure out why the hell Clark decided to wear glasses for no reason,
email us. At supesonpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, man.
So I think that's going to be about it for today. Do stay tuned, and you will get to hear some amazing rap.
Like a nice diss track.
A nice diss track about this episode. Don't know what it's going to be about because it's not recorded yet.
It's not recorded yet, and that's movie magic.
Yes. All right, y'all have a good one. Lois and Clark got sex appeal. By the end of the season, he'll seal the deal. But for now, he's writing about old theaters and ignoring all the haters.
New adventures just got sexy. Staring down a snake like Lexi. Just look up, Lex. Just look up, Lex. I be craning next. Feel me. And my good upbringing. Come to the city already slanging. Hey, Lois, I need to know this. Why you dancing with Lex Luthor? Don't think they're good guys anymore? I need you to notice this. To notice that. Swing my dick like a baseball bat. Only part of Clark that's fat. Miss Lane, if you ain't down with CK, I'll just be Superman and save the day.
Eating bombs, just like breakfast. Stop, Lex. Give you a pearl necklace. Fuck you so hard, you'll have to give up your feet. Won't be able to walk for days, you'll be off your feet. Clark ain't Smallville anymore, but he'll treat you like a lady, cause Lois ain't no whore. Believe that.